Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by Bet.UK, where we are going to be looking ahead to all of the action at Warwick and Kempton. Well, I say all of the action, all 7 televised races on Saturday, and I shall be looking ahead to all of this action with Andrew Carter and Daryl Mount, as I'm now going to mix up their names for the foreseeable, because I physically cannot get it out of my head now that I've said it. So there you go, lads, for the remainder. And hopefully we will provide some more winners than we did have last week, because you know what? Everyone's human, each their own. One week we can have a slightly lesser count in our tally of winners when we had the plethora of winners and good results in the weeks before. Surely you can forgive us for one quieter week. But just to emphasize, we did have Not Available, did win at 7-2 for Andrew after he was nibbled in, was a much bigger price originally. Run to Milan placed 8-1 tip by Andrew. And Chianti or Chianti Classico ended up going off at 4-6 in the end, tipped up by everyone. And as Kate's nap. But as the lads joked beforehand, before we started recording, it may be dry January for some, but hopefully the dry January in terms of the tipping stakes will not continue for us on this week's show. And we begin at Kempton with the 130, which is a 0-145 handicap chase for 5-year-olds and over 3 miles. Only 7 runners here, Andrew, but it looks a very open handicap. So who are you siding with?
Yeah, I like this race. I mean, Tile Tapper ran well here last time, finishing second. You could argue that he might have been a shade flatter, because I think something like 7 of the first 8 horses came from off the pace that day. They probably did a bit too much too soon up front, and he hasn't got the perhaps the greatest win record. Lots of seconds in his name. Now, the one I like is Ansam, who I did actually bet in the Coral Trophy Handicap Ladbrokes, formerly known as the Hennessy race, at Newbury at the end of November. Now, he's a horse who generally goes well at this time of year. If you look at his record in December and January, 4 wins from 5 starts. The other was a 5th at 20-1. That came over hurdles. And in the Hennessy, he did too much too soon, I thought, on the front end, and was probably a little bit unlucky not to place. He was 6th in the end at 16-1. I thought this is ideal for him, because you look at his wins. Generally does his winning in small fields as well. So he's going to be, 3 of his last 4 wins have come in fields of 8 or fewer runners. I thought he had a great chance. And Rillo, I thought it was perhaps a bit going to be a bit too soft for him. Ideally, he'd prefer a good soft or quicker going. Smarty Wild runs here, the gift that keeps on giving. I thought this might be Daryl's nap when we were talking pre-show about what he's a funny old bugger. I mean, you want to back him each way every time he runs, and you want to lay the win part of the bet in running, because he generally doesn't find. He comes out cruising, rarely goes through with it. And I mean, last time out 20-1, fair play if you bet him each way. He finished 3rd in that remastered Tile Tapper race. A few firms are paying a 5th of the odds 1, 2, 3, despite there being only 7 runners, including our including our sponsors, Bet.UK, rather generously. So if you do fancy Smarty Wild, I certainly wouldn't put you off backing him each way at sort of 4-1, 9-2, 3 places, because I'd be surprised if he's out of the 3. Stick him in your forecast and tote exactas as well to finish 2nd to the field, perhaps. But I was really keen on Ansam here. I thought he's got a great chance. Kitty's Light is another one who tends to win in small fields. Only ever won, I think, in single-figure lineups, but he does tend to do best on better ground, and particularly in the sort of March to October period. Was he 2nd in the Scottish National last year? So I thought Kitty's Light is one to keep an eye on with the view to a spring campaign. But you look at his form on officially soft going. 3 runs, all at Kempton, 3 defeats, totaling about 60 lengths. So Kitty's Light probably struggle unless the ground dries out significantly. But Ansam, strong bet for me here.
Oh, strong bet then, taking on the favourite with Ansam at 7-2, but also plenty of ways to use Smarty Wild to your advantage, with lots of different betting angles into him, but also just keep an eye on Kitty's Light though, maybe for another day. But strong on Ansam then for Andrew. Daryl, who do you like?
Well, God, just first off, apologies if you've been backing me for the last 12 days. It's not been pretty. So who do I like?
Everyone's human.
Yeah, but who do I like is the confidence a little bit knocked. So I actually like the outsider of the field, Belargus. I do like Smarty Wild. I will have a couple of quid on him because I thought he ran really well last time, and he just sort of got blocked and denied sort of the clear passage he was after going around the bend, and I thought he was a bit better than a better result. But Belargus, thought he caught the eye at Ascot last time. First run after 240 days, 48 days off the track. And he was held up at the rear of the field. 13 runners at Ascot, being at the rear of the field. It's just hard work. Smaller field today should really suit him. He's actually got quite a good record of 8 or fewer runners in the field. I think he can forgive the Ultima run the time before that. And Chepstow run was over hurdles. So he's not done a whole lot wrong since winning at Sandown by 4 lengths over Falco Blitz. He's off the right mark. I just wonder if they're like sort of prepping him to go back to Sandown in a couple of weeks and run well there. But he's a horse that has to go right-handed for me. He doesn't mind the cut in the ground. I just think 20 to 1, I think is too big of a price when we know that he's more than capable of putting in a good shift. So, yeah, Belargus 20 to 1. Smarty Wild just as a bit of a saver. I'm a bit like Andrew. I was a bit annoyed that he didn't go through with it last time, really. He looked to be coming there full of running. He will fool you again. But I'll have to be fooled again and have a couple of quid on him.
Yeah, so like I say, leaving Smarty Wild then to one side once it doesn't fully go through with it. And you know, some people say that, oh, confidence has been knocked. They feel like they're out of form at the minute. And you can be forgiven them for playing it safe, go with the foul. 25 to 1 outsider. This is exactly why we love you, Daryl, and exactly why people will always follow you, regardless of however you feel your form is at the minute. Belargus 25 to 1, the outsider of the field in our opener. We head to Warwick next for the Grade 2 Hampton Novices Chase for 5-year-olds and over 3 miles at 150. Just the 4 runners here, and Complete Unknown is the current 6 to 5 favourite. So, Daryl, your take on this race, please.
Yeah, I don't really like this Skelton horse, Galliard. I can't even say it. Another horse I can't pronounce. I don't like this horse.
That's why you don't like her.
I just thought that the run at Bangor was just like, she was one of the few that was suited by conditions, and previous to that, I didn't like her hurdle form. I just thought she was well over egg, because she was really well backed against like Time Hill in a Grade 1 of that last time in the Quarto Star, and I couldn't see it, to be honest. I think Complete Unknown should take a bit of beating there. I liked that run at Fosslas last time. I know First Lord de Clouet was closing him right to the line, but he's a really nice horse. He won't mind heavy ground at all. Like, he won that EBF final at Sandown. That form is actually pretty strong in the context of the novices, and I just think he looks like a chaser. He's a typical Paul Nicholls horse that was always going to improve going over fences. And look, he might not put up a similar performance this time as he did at Fosslas last time, but you've got to give him every chance. And he's not up against the strongest field here, so you could probably argue he should be about even money rather than 5 to 4, even a shade of odds on. I think he'd take a bit of beating, really.
Yeah. So like you say, I mean, that EBF form from last season just continues to work out well. Obviously, in a whole different sphere now, novice chasing, but at the same time, you do kind of always take those horses and think they could well work up into graded performers. So 6 to 5, then fair price about Complete Unknown for Daryl. Andrew, who do you like?
Yeah, I've no strong opinion in this race. I mean, generally horses who win sort of Class 3 novice handicap chases, they step up to graded level. This is a Grade 2 contest. I'd be looking to get against, really, and that would be the favourite, Complete Unknown. But then what's going to beat him? I mean, Gallia de Lito, you could argue going left-handed might suit. He's 0 from 3 right-handed, 2 from 2 left-handed under rules. I'm not sure which way round his point-to-point win was. But then the Skelton Yard's 1 from 26 at the time of recording, and it's flu jab season, isn't it? So, has this one had a flu jab since we last seen him? Will that knock him back? And he needs to jump better than he did at Kempton, obviously, behind Time Hill. The Goffer, difficult to know as well. Hasn't always jumped brilliantly in Ireland, but these fences are going to be easier than the ones he's usually tackled. Stepping back up to 3 miles could suit. Doesn't look particularly smart though, does he? And Gentleman at Arms is not easy to make a case for. I think I'll sit it out. I mean, I'll go with Complete Unknown for the sake of having to have a selection for this podcast. But I think I'll stick all 4 in the place pot and hope for the best.
How does it affect your stats, like when you say then like stepping out of maiden company into a graded company, when sort of you look at these graded races in Britain at the moment and they're basically just graded races in name rather than actual quality?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, you look at the Tolworth Hurdle last week. You had, I mean, the winner, is it Thomas or whatever it's called, the Nicholls runner, that had won a listed hurdle last time out. You think, well, that's quite a step up. Listed winner to Grade 1 winner. Nicholls hasn't got a good record in those conditions. Then you look at it, and everything else in the race, like the Henry de Bride horse, maiden hurdle winner, authorised speed, novice hurdle winner. There was nothing really that had solid graded form going into a Grade 1 contest. It was all sort of maiden hurdle, novice hurdle, listed hurdle forms. It's a bit like that here. It looks very uncompetitive, doesn't it? I mean, Nichols has won this for the last 2 years with Next Destination and 3 under through 5. So you give me a £50 free bet. Thanks very much. I'll have it on the favourite and hope for the best.
Exactly. Well, none of us are offering you that, but yeah, I think it was going into the Tolworth? If my memory serves me correct, I think Nichols was 1 from 19 in the last 25 years of the listed. I think you said, Andrew, going into Grade 1 company, and that was then defied. But as Daryl makes the case there, that probably is circumstance of the way that British racing is at the minute, that these graded races are that in name rather than anything else. So yeah, slight pinches of salt you have to take with some certain races, and this is probably one of those all the same. Another graded race up next, so keep the good times rolling, because we're back at Kempton now. This is the Grade 2 Sylvan Yarko Conti Chase for 5-year-olds and over 2 mile, 4.5 furlong at 2:05, and it's another Paul Nichols runner at the head of the market in the form of Pick Dory, currently the 6-4 market leader. Fascinating though, we have Angel's Breath in here on the back of a 1,121 day absence. So Andrew, who are you siding with?
Yeah, interesting one this. My main play in the race is to take on Paint the Dream, who's going the wrong way round, I think. I mean, he's best left-handed, 4 wins that way round. He did win at Perth once, but that was over hurdles. I think when the runner-up was rated 105, and bear in mind he's 160 now, Paint the Dream. He loves Newbury. He's 3 from 3 over fences at that track. I think his other chase win came at Chepstow, like Newbury, a sort of giant 2-mile oval track. Can't see him being suited by Kempton. 5-2 seems ridiculous to me. He's a 9-year-old as well. So I'm thinking you've got to take him on. It's probably going to be with the favourite Pick Dory, who keeps mopping up these sort of races. He's 1 from 1 at Kempton. He won at Huntingdon last time, beating Miller's Bag. He clearly likes going this way round. So I'll need to do a little bit more on the race. I'll have a look at some of the outsiders, but take on Paint the Dream would be my advice. Hope that's not your nap, Daryl.
Oh God, yeah. Daryl's actually playing the nap game today with the secret envelope, because it did get such a good response. But I'm the chosen one now for the nap, so I'm sort of cautious on everything I'm saying now about each race, because Daryl has my nap predicted in his envelope. So yes, but who have you got though, Daryl, for this race?
I looked at this race earlier in the week and I thought Pick Dory looks an absolute good thing. It looks like a very strong favourite, and then we've had all the rain the last couple of days, and we're due rain at Kempton morning of racing, and he's not a horse that wants a lot of cut in the ground, in my opinion. That's probably the reason he's drifted from 6-5 out to 6-4, because outside of him, you couldn't really be confident on any of these. Like Angel's Breath's got a Gold Cup entry. He's returning after 1,120 days off the track. Like almost impossible to back unless you got to ear to the ground at the yard, I guess. Cool Cody, I thought was sort of out of his depth. I know he beat St. Calvados last time, but St. Calvados went off like a choo-choo train and couldn't sustain it. Clondaw Castle, I thought was quite interesting again, and I'm very much aware of the fact that I'm having a poor run, and I'm now tipping 2 outsiders of 2, fairly decent fields, which is probably not ideal. But Clondaw Castle, he's one that prefers good ground, but he does like it at Kempton, and we've been to Tom George's yard when you was there, Kate, and they don't lack for fitness, these horses going up that gallop, do they? So I thought he was very interesting. 420 days off the track. He's 11. He might just need the run. He might just sort of come on for the run, I guess. But he does intrigue me, I must admit, at the prices especially. He's a horse that was very much on the upgrade when we last saw him. I sort of I wanted to bet and to tip St. Calvados. They put a hood on him for the first time after running 2-3 last time. He does need breaks between his races. 56 days he comes here. He's got not a bad record here. He was finished close up in the King George a couple of years ago, last year. And I did kind of want to tip him, but it's just David Maxwell, and it just is like you go back and you watch Pick Dory's run here against Miller's Bank, and you watch how much Cobden threw Pick Dory at the last and gave him a slap as he did it, and he kicked away, and it was just brilliant riding. And then you sort of watch David Maxwell to finish, and you can't think there's really no comparison, is there? So I'm at a bit of a loss. I hope Clondaw Castle will run well. I suspect if the ground dries enough, Victoria will be very hard to beat.
Yeah, so like I say, if the ground does dry up enough, Victoria will be hard to beat. Do just have a watch though, Clondaw Castle. The outsider in the field, 16-1. And yeah, St. Calvados needs break between his races and breaks in his race as well, apparently. So, but yeah, that is just enough to put Daryl off St. Calvados. Andrew, you're celebrating like a madman. What's the crack?
Yeah, it's second of my two column picks today. Serendipity just won at Catterick. 10-1, 12-1, I think, something like that. So.
Oh, very nicely done. Very, very nicely done indeed.
You know, all right, mate.
Yeah.
Daryl, mate, it's 12 days. You made a profit last year and the year before. It's a very small section of the racing year, isn't it? So don't be down. I don't have one of my conversations with you about variance again.
That is the paternal figure that is Andrew Matt from a betting perspective, then giving us all his advice and bringing us back down to earth, grounding us again. Then, so yeah, thank you for that, Andrew, and very well done. But we are back. We're back to Warwick though now for the Grade 2 Ballymore Leamington Novices Hurdle for 5-year-olds and over 2 mile 5 at 2:25. This race very often can give us some clues for horses who then tend to go off at big prices for the Ballymore itself. But Daryl, who wins it for you?
I love that segue. This is a shite race, but it could give a pointer to a horse going up at a big
at
price.
33-1. It could.
Very true. Knowsley Road is top of the market. Very, very interesting. Paul Nichols. It was a good run last time. He's a nice improving horse, but deep ground, I think he's pretty vulnerable. Ginny's Destiny for Tom Lacey. They had a nice horse in this last year, Scipion, who sort of underperformed a little bit. This horse will love the deep ground, but I just think this is a travelly thing. He travels for a race really nicely, and when he's off the bridle, he sort of goes up and down on the spot. Doesn't really find an awful lot. Dan Skelton's come out and said Grade Dawning. They think he's a Grade 1 horse. I mean, maybe in Britain at the moment, but he's nowhere near a normal Grade 1 horse. I can tell you that much. So if he's a Grade 1 horse, they ought to be backing the hell out of him for this, because nothing's really run to above 128 or 129. If they think he's a Grade 1 horse, God, he should be going off a heavily backed favourite for this. The money doesn't come. They're talking a load of rubbish. Snake Roll's pretty interesting for Lucinda Russell. He got within 5 lengths of Timoris at Haydock, and I think he's a horse that likes to have the lead. He didn't get the lead that day. He had to sort of sit in behind. He was slightly outpaced, but he stayed on the well towards the finish. That was soft ground there at Haydock. I think he's a stayer. I think he's going up. He went up and trip at Newcastle last time, bolted up in a bit of a nothing race, but it was a good time. And I think the trip will suit him. The ground will suit him. And I do like a horse that is a bit prominent at Warwick, because especially over fences, they can just get left too far behind. But they've got a sharp bend coming into the home straight and over hurdles, and I think Snake Roll will be well positioned to, if he can finish out his race, I think he'll go very close. Jive, I can't say his name, Kate. You'll have to say it.
Oh yeah, no, this is one I always get wrong. I get Gavega, I think it is. Gavega.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Not
I
Jive.
always get it wrong.
Yeah, he's a nice horse. Strange that he's drifted in the betting though. He wasn't that great actually at front row last time, but he does look like a progressive horse. And Moon Hunter is another one that's nice and progressive, but he just might be a bit too slow for a race around here. So Snake Roll for me. Reluctant.
Snake Roll, yeah. But interesting though, if Grey Dawning isn't backed in, then like say they're talking a load of rubbish. I love how blatantly that was put. But Snake Roll then currently at 5-1 for Lucinda Russell and Derek Fox for Daryl. Andrew, who do you like? You look like you've got one eye on something else.
Yeah, so I'm just adjusting the aircon. Tricky. I'm back to winter. I can afford to turn the heat on now. I had to turn the heating off after Grey Dawning won at Kempton last time, because I thought he might have been flattered by his Exeter win, because there was a big bias on the hurdles course that day. It was badly cut up on the inside. And it was quite funny because when Racing UK interviewed Harry Skelton afterwards, they said, "Oh, well done. He did that nicely, Grey Dawning, despite racing wide." And he said, "No, it was deliberate racing wide. I jogged the track beforehand, realised it was quicker on the outside. I thought, well, he's probably flattered, and we can downgrade that performance." Needless to say, he won easily at 5-4 last time, and I did my cobblers. but that's another story. So yeah, I do think he's very progressive. Obviously, there's, in the back of your mind is the January Skelton figures, but you'd assume that maybe they've delayed the flu jab until after this race, and that then it will be rested and brought back for Cheltenham. So I wouldn't put you off that one. Knowsley Road, again, solid enough claims. A front runner could get taken on from the lead though. That's a slight concern. Snake Roll likes to go from the front as well. I mean, the one I like for the future is Moonhunter for Henry Daly. Now, when he won on his debut at Wetherby this year, Henry Daly said that although he won easily and hardly had a race, it took a lot out of him and he lost 27 kilos. They then gave him 47 days off before that Donny win, where he did have a race, 15 runners. He showed a gutsy attitude to win by half a length. I thought that was quite impressive. So I'm slightly surprised and a tad concerned that they're coming back just 16 days after that, assuming it might also have taken quite a bit out of him. Both those runs came on good ground. So again, soft conditions, recent run. That might be why he's sort of 12 to 1 for this, despite his progressive profile. Ginny's Destiny actually qualified as a bet for me at Warwick, here at Warwick last time on a beaten favourite for the Tom Lacey yard last time out system. He kept drifting. He's won easily from Mexico at 18 to 1. But again, the yard's very quiet at the moment. And Mexico, the runner-up, came out and won next time out. So if you like that form, I wouldn't put you off the Ginny's Destiny Mexico forecast again. But I think I might just side with Mexico because Stuart Edmonds is in good form. He's got the course form after that runner-up effort at Ginny's Destiny. He's come out and won easily next time, albeit on good ground. So I thought 25 to 1, I'll just take a chance on that one for the price of a lottery ticket. And it's one for your bingo card.
It's been a while. It's been a while, to be fair, since we've heard that. But siding with the 25 to 1 outsider of the field with Mexico, yeah, hopefully he does have plenty more to offer. Though Mexico are the same. He's a horse with a lot of ability, but he does have his few little quirks and niggles. This horse, anyways, sort of relentless box walker and such like. But yeah, 25 to 1 then for Mexico is a good way to play that race. Right, proper betting heat up next in the form of the Lanzarote handicap hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 5 at 240. Now, Daryl, my nap actually comes in this race. Is that what I've got? Oh, is it not? I was going to say, I was like, if you've managed to figure out my nap from today, I will be amazed because it's 28 to 1 because I couldn't really come down on a nap necessarily today. So I've come down on an each way nap, which is coming in this race. So unfortunately, I think I may have scuppered the envelope this time around because it is Mark of Gold, because he is the right age for me as a 6-year-old, plenty more to offer despite winning 5 of his 10 hurdle starts. And he won really well last time out at Lingfield in a 2 mile 3 handicap hurdle by 8.5 lengths. He was really suited by the drop in grade, admittedly, from trying the Greatwood on his previous start. And he was also suited by the step up in trip as he just powered away from the last. And he's only been given a £7 rise for that success, which I think is very fair, but that is effectively only £5 higher now because Caelan Quinn takes over in the saddle. Very useful £5 claim. And we know that having a claimer on board in this race is a notable positive. So I can't really understand why Mark of Gold is the price that he currently is. So yeah, that's my case made there. Andrew, who are you siding with?
I'm going with Hermes Boy to deliver. Sorry.
Nicely done.
Yeah, Jane Williams has got a good record in this race, although some of the horses who ran this previously ran under the name of ex-partner Nick Williams. Hermes Boy, very consistent. He's only won once, but has been in the first 4 in 9 of his 10 career starts. The exception was a 5th of 16. And I just thought since they put the cheek pieces on, he's obviously in need of a longer trip. He kept on well behind Love Envoy at Sandown over 2 miles, went to Utoxeter 2.5 on heavy ground, finished second to Can You Call, looked like he wanted to go up a little bit further in trip. And he's got the running style I like for this race as well. And we have had horses win from the front. But when you look at that, T for 2, one of Jane's horses, was rated 134 when winning this under a prominent ride several years ago, and I think went up to the mark of subsequently won a grade 1 and was rated something like 170 or certainly in the 160s. Yalarenki won it in a very small field once off a mark of 135 and was since rated 170. And Cobblers, it was the funny race last year. The pace held up. Cobbler's Dream and Highway 102 were 1-2 throughout at 10-1, 25-1. Probably would have been a tricast for the front runners had Quinto de Mar not fallen at the last as well. But generally speaking, big field, softish ground, Kempton, late and wide round the outside, looking for the better ground is the move that you want. I'm hoping Hermes Boy can pull off those sort of tactics.
Oh, 14-1 then about Hermes Boy. Like it a lot for Jane Williams, who is in flying form at the minute. And we only got away with one pun from you then. You were teeing them up before we started recording. Left, right, and centre.
I thought it's a family show, and despite Daryl's potty mouth, so I'll save that one for another time.
So you're not in polite company here, at least, anyway. But yeah, a family show as long as your family is 18 and over the whole way through. Daryl, sorry for ruining your nap envelope there, but who do you like?
That's it. I should probably reveal it. It was actually.
Yeah. Enrico, no, not again. I cannot side with him again. All the stars were meant to align for him at Wincanton, and he managed to fall at a water jump.
You know what
No,
that means?
I can't do it. I had a feeling that's the way you were going to go, but I couldn't do it to myself.
This is a cracking race, isn't it? Nice to see a big field handicap
Yeah.
for once. Yeah, there's lots you can make cases for in here. I've gone for two at bigger prices, really. The first one is Raf McNee for Nicky Henderson and Nico de Boinville. Nicky's won this race 3 times, I think, in the last 10 years. Very rare you see a Nicky Henderson horse at a big double figure price, but I thought this lad did really, really well to win at Doncaster. It was a really slowly run race. He was really keen throughout, held up at the rear of the field, small field, 5 runners. And he was just pulling the arms off Paul O'Brien for a long, long time. And it took him a little minute to wind him up, and then he just went through the gap and just shot clear. And I just thought it was really quite impressive. Now, that was on good ground. He might be ground dependent. I'm not sure. So soft ground may not do him any favours, but he is crying out for like a big field, strongly run handicap. I think that's where we're going to see him at his best. I think it's interesting that he's the representative, or one or two representative, Nicky Henderson here, Pentland Hill's the other, who probably just by default is just being chucked in here.
Yeah.
And I think this horse is progressive. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on. He should settle in this bigger field as well. So the time before that at Cheltenham, you can forgive the run because the saddle slipped. So that other than that, he won at Fakenham previously by 33 lengths. So nice horse going places, I think. And the other one is a Gary Moore horse, 50 Ball, who I don't know what, like, he's been off for 293 days. I wouldn't worry too much about that. He's got a fair record fresh. He proved it over fences at Sandown in November last year when chasing home Manila Trump. But he is a horse with loads of ability. And he's a horse that since he finished second in the Betfair Hurdle 2 years ago, I thought surely he's a horse that's going to go on to be rated 145. And he just hasn't. I just wonder if they've had a few issues with him. Noel Houlihan claims 3 off, so he's effectively gone off 127 here today. I think the track will suit him. He looks to go right-handed. I think he's got a good record going right-handed. 3 wins in the second over hurdles. And I just think there's a bit more to come from him. Like, if he won this, I think he'd be the horse that you'd look at the race and go, oh, Christ, how did he go off at that price?
Yeah.
You know, so I want him on my side. So I'll just have win-only bets, 2 win-only bets on them to try and tread lightly.
Yeah, treading lightly. 25-1 about 50 Ball. And when do you ever see a Nicky Henderson horse at 18-1 with Nico de Boinville riding? Yeah, for Raf McNee then is a very big price. Andrew, the celebrations are coming out left, right, and centre.
Oh, the odds-on favourite must have been 2-5. Has decided to make the running into their headwind at Newcastle. You can't get your breath how stupid some of these jockeys are at times. It's brilliant. and there's 2 with the same owners, and they've sent another one to hassle him early doors to try and set it up for the other one. It's just some trainers and jockeys absolutely naive when they go
come out on top there.
But happy days. So where were we? What are we on now?
Oh no, I was just clearing up what was going on in the background. You've gone rogue this week, and I'm sure that all of these pointers will be very relevant though when people actually get to watch this and listen to this down the line anyway. Right, another good betting heat though that we have up next in the form of the classic handicap chase. This is the premier handicap for 5 odds and over 3 mile 5 at 3 o'clock at Warwick. Always great spectacle this race, Daryl. So who are you siding with?
Oh, you caught me by surprise there.
Are you too busy wrapped up in Newcastle now?
Yeah, I was just having a look to see who won the race.
I'll go first if you want, if you need a bit more time.
Or
Yeah.
depends. It depends. I know you're going to tip my horse, but go on.
Okay, I'm napping Volcano this week, 4 from 4 at the track. I put him up as an anti-post bet for this last year, and then he got injured just before the race and was forced to miss it, and then so I had a don't mind a setback and came back later in the season, won here in March. Loved the track. I took a chance and punted him at 33 to 1 on Monday when he was about £8 out the handicap, but because of non-runners now, he's actually in the weights proper. So he just absolutely loves it here. 4 from 4, often by wide margins. He's been running well at Ludlow, where he's run well once or twice, previously, finishing second by a neck last time out. So everything's been geared up, I assume, for this race this season at a track he absolutely adores. He's got 10 stone 2. He's 25 to 1. Bet Volcano each way would be my advice. 3 under Fruit 5, I've got to mention. He heads the market in 11 to 2 for Paul Nichols. He has won here, albeit in a small field, in a graded contest. And it is a horse I'm just really hoping they'd run right-handed because he's unbeaten that way round. I think it's 4 from 4. He jumped out to his left when beaten behind L'Empressé at the Cheltenham Festival last year. I thought he would make up into a genuine King George horse this year. I'm just really frustrated that they're not running him right-handed. He unseated at Newbury last time. I hope he gets round here, but I don't think, although he has won here, that going left-handed is ideal for him in this sort of company. So I'll desert Grumpy Charlie as well. One I tipped up at Newbury. I think that Newbury race was the aim, and this is possibly afterthought. And at 8 to 1, I can leave him alone. Fascinating to see Welsh National winner. I Will Do It come back. Let's hope he's fit and well and runs a good race. But it's got to be our old friend Volcano to erupt into action.
No, I was literally just about to say that. I had one lined up the whole way time, the whole way through.
I got into a bit of a lava when I saw he was entered for this race. So.
Okay, fair enough. You can have it then if you're backing it up with that as well. 25 to 1 about Volcano. Daryl, he slightly grimaced though when Andrew revealed that he was siding with Volcano.
Yeah, I'm siding with Volcano as well. I think this is a good race. I just think there's a lot of horses that are that you can find reasons to be against them. So for example, I Will Do It for Sam Thomas. This is a lovely horse. Like the way he won at Chepstow was ridiculous, but he's been off 383 days. He's got a good record fresh, but he's a hold up horse at Warwick. It just doesn't pay. I'm sorry that it doesn't. I don't know what the stats are, to be honest. I just know it doesn't pay for me. So I wanted to be against him. I thought Grumpy Charlie might be wanting for stamina in here. Mr. Incredible's the interesting one for Willie Mullins, of course. They're backing him as I'm looking at the odds actually from 8 to 1 into 11 to 2. This horse is a horse that I really liked last year. Do you remember when I really strongly fancied him to beat a Hoist in Eure in the John Frankham, and he just ran no sort of race. Interesting that, isn't it? Because he was with Henry de Bromhead then, and that's another horse that came over and didn't run well. So that is actually but this horse pulled himself up at his penultimate start at Tremor. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Back in April, after the 5th flight, he pulls himself up. I've never seen a horse pull himself up before, but he just couldn't. He just stopped. It was so strange to watch, and he refused to race as well at Leopardstown when he was pitched into the Grade 1 novice chase there. Obviously now he's with Willie Mullins. He was jumping pretty well at Leopardstown. He was brought down at the 4th, but again, this is the type of track where I just think that he is probably going to find a lot of issues in amongst the rear of the field. So I was worried about him. I do like Volcano. I was going to put him up, but because Andrew has, I'm not going to have a bet in the race.
You can side with him as well. It wouldn't kill you.
We agreed on everything last week, and we did our absolute cobbler. So
true. To be fair, yeah.
And
but the week before that, you were all agreeing, and it went well. So So at the minute, no bet though, but you would have had Volcano though. So I'm going to put that label on you. Yeah, Mr. Incredible hopefully he's had a bit of a rocket put up his arse then from moving to Willie Mullins's, because like you say, even when he came up against the Hoist and I remember when we were talking about that race post-race, and he was such hard work the entire way through. Rachel was trying to get him in between horses, just try and get him interested. I don't know, I can't trust him whatsoever. So I like Nestor Park though here, who is 9-1 currently. And he only has a sole start to his name this season, an angle that I like. So I want a horse that really comes here fresh for the classic chase. And Nestor Park ran well on that reappearance start, third at Haydock in a handicap chase over 3 mile 4. His jumping wasn't always 100% fluent, admittedly, but I really like the way that he stuck to the task all the same. And he was only beaten by a pair of younger, improving types. So he's just ideal for these stamina tests. And the same mark of last time out, he looks a fair price to me at 9-1, already nibbled in from 12-1. So that is a classic chase. And our final scheduled race is another one of those. It's the P word back again. It's a Potemps Network handicap hurdle, a qualifier for 5-year-olds and over 3 mile 1 at 3:35 at Warwick. Gordon is sending 2 over. So Andrew, what are we doing with this race?
Yeah, go home early to beat the traffic. I wasn't particularly taken with the favourite Ashdown Lad. I mean, again, you've got the nagging doubt about the whole flu jab thing with the Skelton runners and the current well-being of the yard. And obviously, last time out, he's won the Beecher. And you think, well, clearly he's going to be aimed at the Grand National, isn't he? And so they're putting him back over hurdles to protect his chase mark. Is that a fair assumption? And
yeah,
I know he's rated much lower over hurdles, but maybe this is just a case of it's local and to where he's trained, and it's just something to keep him ticking over until springtime. So at 11-4, I can leave him alone. And any of the Irish could win, couldn't they? The one I'm going to go with, though, at a big price is the Sid Hosey runner, Lieutenant Rocco, who, of course, used to be with Paul Nicholls, then with Colin Tizard, who used to run in graded chases. And he's had 3 runs for the yard. I mean, Sid Hosey's been doing pretty well this winter.
Yeah.
And I mean, since he took out a license, you could back all his runners and make a profit of 98 quid, largely thanks to a 100-1 winner. But he had a close second at 60-61 at Cheltenham the other day. And now this one was only 7th at Taunton. Was it on Sunday or earlier this week? But it was quite an eye-catching effort because he raced in the swamp on the inside rail, and by this time it was blatantly obvious that you couldn't be anywhere near the inside on the hurdles track yet. Mr. Gerard Hardy's taken him around the inner. Fair play, he's probably not ridden the track very often, and maybe he wasn't watching the earlier races. He certainly probably wasn't riding in them. But I thought he was up there for a long way, given the obvious disadvantage of where he raced. He's a course winner. And if you'd backed all the yards runners who'd had a run between 1 and 28 days ago, 6 winners from 39 and a profit of £120.50. So even allowing for that 100-1 winner, he'd still be quids in. So I think after a 5-day break off a low weight, he might just run a big race now. He's got Tom Scudamore on board, and he's about 20-1, I think.
Yeah, and he is 22-1 that I can see for Lieutenant Rocco. 5-day turnaround, Tom Scudamore on board. And like you say, Sid Hosey's been having a really good time with things. He was buying well over the summer as well, I think. So yeah, plenty to look forward to then for the Sid Hosey yard, hopefully. Daryl, Andrew's gone for the outsider of the field. How are you playing this?
I'm just going to back the 2 Irish Gordon Elliott runners. The reason being is this is a crap race, and it's going to be very hard for Side Burley not to win, if that makes sense. Even though they possibly, if it was me, if he was my horse, I would be putting in a poor run here. Getting dropped a couple of pounds, sticking someone like Rob James on back in or run poorly into 4th, get qualified, stick someone like Rob James on £7 claim and having running the Potemps off about 146. That's what I would do with him. Whether or not they will, I don't know. He's an Aintree Grade 1 winner at the back end of last season. Forgive the run at Leopardstown. He always runs badly there. I would say the same things every year about this horse. But this is so much weaker than the race last year. I just don't know if they'll be able to sort of plot him in this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just win and be qualified, go up a couple of pounds and chuck a claimer on anyway. 8-1's a ridiculously good price for him. I think the market is probably thinking that he's just qualifying. 8-1's very, very fair. Level Never Ending is his other horse. That's the horse that actually needs to win to get in a Potemps. I couldn't make a strong case for him at all. But it'd be no surprise if Sam Ewing's coming over. It'd be no surprise if this is the race they've really revved him for. Because he needs to win. He's off 128. You ain't getting into attempts off 128. So he's obviously here to win. He's 14-1. I'll just back the pair of them and see what happens, in all honesty.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, just see what happens then. But I completely get what you very subtly mean there about Sire de Burley. It's going to be difficult for him not to go very close in this. So yeah, back the 2 Gordon Elliott runners, and they've managed to get 2 jockeys to come over. David Russell now taking up the mantle back home. So Sam Ewing and Richie McClernand then to take the 2 rides on the 2 Gordon Elliott horses. So Daryl, back to you please for anything from anywhere else.
No, I daren't put my hand in my pocket until this horrid show run is over. Not this show.
Oh my god! Yeah, we know we have the same horrid show. Yeah, no, we know exactly that you'll be back to form within a breath. So that is no problem whatsoever. Andrew, anything from anywhere else?
Just a couple on the all-weather. They both ran in the same race at Wolverhampton in early December. Fly the Nest, who was 2nd, and All Aboard, who was 6th. Both did too much too soon. The winner, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th have all come from off the pace. And so Fly the Nest runs at Lingfield in the 12:35 on Saturday, and All Aboard goes in the opener at Chelmsford, the 5:30. Now, that was All Aboard's first run for the Horse Watchers and Mick Appleby, who've been in really good form with the likes of Zealot recently. Had a hatful of winners, and he was very weak in the betting late on. So he raced on the inside of the track, really the place to be at Wolverhampton as well. So at Chelmsford, that should suit his forcing style a bit better. All Aboard, particularly interesting at that pack.
Like it a lot. And Andrew, I'll go back to you, please, for your nap.
Volcano.
Oh, goodness me. Okay, we're all going, well, Andrew and I both going for big price naps then. Daryl, who's your nap?
Belargus in the 130.
Oh, lovely job. Oh, goodness me. Oh, this could pay some returns. Next I'm going Mark of Gold each way in the 240 at Kempton, and our sponsors here, Bet UK, are paying 5 places as well in that race each way. So yes, I'd with an each way nap. I've ever so slightly bottled it towards the end, but goodness me, right, we've all gone rogue this weekend. So hopefully that's going to warrant some returns at least. Anyway, thank you so much to the lads yet again for all of their hard work. Thank you to our sponsors, Bet UK. Thank you to you for watching, and we will catch up with you again next week.